Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Ezine, and on this channel I make sewing tutorials. In today's video I'm going to be showing you how to draft an oversized shirt with a collar and a revere. Just a little disclaimer before we get into it. To draft the pattern I'm going to be using both centimeter and inches interchangeably. That's the way I learned it, and I tried changing all the measurements into inches, but I got confused because that's just not what I'm used to. So I'm going to be doing it as I know how to do it. If you find it being in inches easier for you, you can convert that and use it in inches. But just so you know before getting into it, I'm going to be using both centimeter and inches. But I'm also going to be indicating when I'm using centimeter and when I'm using inches. Okay. So if you find this video helpful, give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel for more videos like this. If you have any questions or suggestions, you can leave this in the comment section. And with that being said, let's get into the tutorial. Before we get into it, we will quickly run through the different parts of the collar. This is the neckline. This is the line where the collar is joined to the neck, and it is mostly on the inside. You won't really see it from the top part. Now this is the style line. This is the outer edge of the collar. And this is the roll line. Just as the name states, it is the line where the collar rolls over. This is the collar stand. Now this is the rise of the collar from the neckline to the roll line. And this here is the fall. This is the depth of the collar from the roll line to the style line. And this is the break point. This is where the revere turns over to form the lapel. And finally, this is the break line. This is the line along which the lapel rolls back. And now that we're done going through the different parts of the collar, we can get into the drafting process. And we're going to start by drafting the back pattern. Now I've got here my plain sheet of paper, and on the top of the paper I'm going to draw a horizontal line, which should be my baseline. Now from this line, I'm going to measure and mark 9 inches, which is my shoulder to armhole measurement, plus 1 inch, because note this is an oversized shirt. Now from the shoulder line, I'm going to measure and mark 15 inches. That's my shoulder to waist measurement, and draw that line also. And for my waist, I measure 12 inches for the length of the shirt. So the total length of the shirt is going to be 27 inches. Then on the shoulder line, I mark the neck width, which is 2.5 inches, and for the neck depth, I measure 1 inch. Now for the shoulder slope, I measure 1 inch and a quarter from the initial shoulder line, and I draw a line. Now on this line, I'm going to measure half of my shoulder measurement plus 1 inch and a quarter. Because this is an oversized shirt, I'm going to be adding a little bit to my shoulder measurement so that it drops off my shoulder. And the next thing I did was to connect the neck width to the shoulder measurement. Now on the shoulder slope, I extend the neck width by 1 centimeter, and then I use my curve to draw in the neckline. On the armhole line, I measure half of my back width measurement plus 1 inch and a quarter. The same 1 inch and a quarter that I added to the shoulder line, I'm going to be adding it to my back width measurement. Now from this point, I drew a vertical line upwards, and then I drew a 1 by 1 centimeter square at this point, and then I drew a line passing through the edge of this square, and on this line I measured and marked 2.5 centimeters. On this line I'm going to be putting my bust measurement, which is a quarter of my bust plus 2 inches. Then I added a 3/4 of an inch seam allowance to it. Now using my curve, I'm going to draw my armhole, connecting these 3 points as you can see. Now since this is a straight shirt, I extend the measurement from the top all the way to the bottom of the shirt, and you can choose to curve your own, that's by going inwards a bit on the waistline if that's what you'd like. Okay, and now at the side seam I came up by 1.5 inches, and then I used my free hand to draw an S shape, sort of like an S curve to the hem. After doing that, I added a 3/4 of an inch allowance to the hem and a 1/2 inch allowance to the shoulder, the armhole, and the neckline. Now after doing this, I cut it out and the back pattern is all done. So now once you're done cutting out your back pattern, you're going to measure your back neckline. And so with your tape in an upright position like so, you're going to measure the neckline and record this somewhere. We're going to be using it to draft the collar. And I took my own measurements in centimeters because I'll be drafting my collar in centimeters. And my own measurement ended up being 9 centimeters. Now moving on to the front pattern. On a fresh piece of paper, I measured 6 inches from the top edge and I drew a horizontal line. So you'd want to have space so that you can draft the collar on the top part. Now on the other side, I measured 4 inches away from the edge of the paper. Also would need to be creating space for the collar and the lapel. So these lines I just drew now would be my center line and shoulder line that I'll be drafting from. From the shoulder line, I measured 9 inches just like the back and drew it from my shoulder to armhole measurement. And basically I just put in all the same vertical measurements as I did for the back. So that's the armhole measurement, the waist measurement to the hem. Now on the shoulder line, I measured the neck width, which is 2.5 inches, same as the back, and then I measured 1.25 inch line downwards and drew my shoulder slope. On this line, I measured half of my shoulder measurement plus 1.25 inches. For the neck depth, I measured 3 inches, then used my curve to draw in the neckline. Now to be able to draw my armhole, I did the same steps as the back. I measured half of my back width measurement plus 1.25 inch, then I drew a line upwards, drew a small square 1 by 1 centimeter, drew another line across the square, but this time instead of measuring 2.5 centimeter like I did for the back, I'm going to be measuring 2 centimeter for the front. So that's the only difference. Then I put in the 10.25 inches for my bust measurement and connect these 3 points to form the armhole. Then I extended the side seam all the way to the hem. I used the back pattern to trace out the curve for the front, so it will be the same thing as the back since I used my free hand. Now we're going to be drafting the lapel and the collar. So the first thing I did was to measure from the shoulder line 8 inches downward. This would be the break point, and so yours can be as low as high as you want it to be. Then I added a 3/4 of an inch from that point outwards from the center line to the hem. This would be my button stand extension. Now going back to the top, I extend my shoulder line a few inches outward, and from the neck width I measured 2 centimeters on that line and marked it. Now at this point I started numbering the points so that it's easier to follow. So the neck width is 0.2, the 2 centimeters we measured outward is 0.3, the neck depth is 0.1, and the break point which we marked earlier is 0.4. I know it's a bit backwards, but just from here on we're going to be numbering it going forward. Just take note of these points. I didn't start numbering it early. Then I drew a line from 0.4 to the 0.3, extending the line past the shoulder line. Now from 0.3, you're going to measure your back measurement plus 1 centimeter. This is going to be 0.5. And for me, that measurement is 9 centimeter. That's my back measurement that I took earlier, plus 1 centimeter, which is 10 centimeter. From 0.5, you're going to measure 2 centimeter to the back. This is going to be 0.6. Now we're going to be drawing a line from 0.6 to 3, and this line is the same length as 5 and 3. So you're going to put your 10 centimeter mark on 0.3, then pivot it to 0.6 and draw the line. After doing that, you're going to place your ruler on this line you just drew, and we're going to be drawing a line perpendicular to line 6'3", which is at just like the 90 degrees of line 6'3". Now from 0.6, we're going to measure 3 centimeter on this line you just drew. This will be 0.7. We're going to be measuring this backwards. 0.7, 3 centimeter. And then from 0.6, measure 5 centimeter forward, and this will be 0.8. Next thing we're going to do is to draw a line from 0.7 into the neckline, and this line would be parallel to line 6'3", that is just right beside it. Now after doing that, we're going to be drawing out our style line from 0.1, and you can draw this whichever way you desire. So I drew a line of about 2 inches and another line about 1 inch away from it for the lapel, and then I'm going to use my curve to connect 0.8 to that line I just drew, and then I curved the edge slightly with my hand. You can use a curve to do this depending on the style that you want to get out of it. If you want it to be straight, just join the two lines together and to be straight. If you want a deeper curve, do as you desire. I'm also going to be using the same curve to draw the lapel, and I curved the edge as well because that's what I wanted it to be. Then I added a half-inch seam allowance to the shoulder and the armhole. And just so you know, this part of the collar is the center back and to be on fold, so I wrote it down just to indicate it. And so now I'm just showing that the reason why I went in by 1 centimeter on the back pattern is because after you finish drafting this front pattern using the measurements, right, you're going to notice that the 0.7 connecting into the neckline takes it 1 centimeter away from the original neckline. So that's why I already took 1 centimeter away from the back neckline of the back pattern so that the shoulder point matches up when you're sewing it. Now I'm indicating that you would need to notch this point on the collar and on your front pattern, and also make a notch at the shoulder point at the collar. The next thing I did was to cut the pattern pieces out. And after I did cut it out, I folded the lapel over and decided to reduce it because I didn't like how big it was. So you can always just fold it over, see it, and then twitch it to get the desired results that you'd want. So this is the collar and this is the front pattern. Now note that you would have to add seam allowance to this part as the front part when you cut it out on your main fabric. Now this shirt requires a facing. Okay, so on the shoulder line I measured 2.5 inches and I drew this outline for the front facing. Now you can use your tracer wheel to trace this out on a different piece of paper, or you can just cut it out on your main fabric depending on what works for you. Now since this shirt would have a patch pocket in front, I measured 1.5 inches above the armhole, and then I drew a rectangle of 4.5 inches by 5 inches. This would indicate where the patch pocket would sit. Now that's it for that. Now moving on to this part. So this collar that we originally drafted is good as it is, but if you want a wider collar, which would end up resulting to a lower collar stand, we're going to be altering this so that you can have a wider collar. But as I said earlier, this collar is perfect as it is, but if you want a wider collar, we can adjust it to get a wider collar, which is what I'll be doing. So this right here is the roll line, and so from where the roll line meets the neckline, I'm going to be drawing a dotted line to the outer collar. Now I'll be dividing from the center back to this line we just drew. I'll be dividing it into 4. So you're going to measure and mark it, then draw slash lines on the points that you made. Now from the outer collar, we would be cutting out these slash lines, and you will be cutting it to the neckline but not through it. I made a mistake here. Please try not to make the mistake, okay? Now we're going to put this on another paper and open the slash lines at 0.5 centimeter apart from each other, and then use a sellotape to hold it down. You need to keep doing this until you've taped down all the lines. Then I added a 1/2 inch seam allowance around the pattern. And I also indicated the notches that I was supposed to make on the collar. Then just cut it out. So this right here is a wider version of the original collar. And this is the complete pattern for the shirt. You've got the back pattern, the front pattern, the collar, the front facing. If you decide to cut that out as a separate pattern, you would have that as well. And that's it for this video, guys. Don't forget to give this video a thumbs up if you find it helpful. Subscribe to my channel for more videos like this. If you have any questions, you can leave those in the comment section, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye. Don't forget, happy sewing.